And I want to now introduce to you our next speaker, Victoria Gutierrez, who has joined us. Um, Victoria is a graduate of Cabrillo as well. Victoria, I'm trying to remember when you said you didn't say, okay, but after Cabrillo, she went to San Jose State and she now works for the city of Salinas. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Um,
Thank you.
and maybe you can embellish on your journey and tell us more about how you got to your current position, the path.
Yeah. So I graduated from Watsonville High School and in 2018, so a while ago. But right after high school, I went into Cabrillo College. And I kind of knew at the time that I went into Cabrillo, I knew that I wanted to be a civil engineer just because Watsonville High School had academies. I don't know if anyone here went to Watsonville High School, but they have academies that you can choose to go into as a freshman. And so they have the engineering academy, and that's where I learned about civil engineering. Sophomore year is kind of like this class, like you learn about the different branches of engineering, and then you do assignments based on the different types and the different branches. So that's how I learned about civil engineering. And so coming into Cabrillo, I kind of already knew that's what I wanted to do. And I was introduced to the STEM Center. I was introduced to Joanne Panzardi, the head of engineering. And I left Cabrillo during COVID. Um,
Oh,
so my transfer into the university was very different from probably most of yours is gonna be. Because there was a lot of online classes still. I would maybe go like once a week to school, so I was still living at home. Um, so it wasn't until like a year after I was in the university that I actually started taking classes in person and kind of getting a feel for the difference between Cabrillo and a different university. Um, I thought they would be similar, but they're not. I feel like Cabrillo has a lot of resources and a lot of help and a lot of community. While a university, it's like you have to go out and find your help rather than having the STEM center where you have everything really. Um, so yeah, that was the hard part, the difficult part, trying to find that place, but in a university.
especially during COVID.
Yeah, in person, not being able to have that contact with people was very different.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so after I graduated about a year ago in December of 2023, and I started interning when I graduated from Cabrillo. I stayed with my internship from the whole time I was in San Jose State, and I was a geotechnical lab technician. So the engineering company is located in Watsonville. And I would just do all of their soil lab testing. I would go out into the field and collect soil for them. Um, I would, when I told my family this, they were shocked that I just played with dirt all day. They're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Yes, I just played with dirt all day. That's all I did." Um, and I wrote reports for them, like I helped them write them, but most of the time I was in the lab doing that every day for them, washing soil, drying soil. Um, that I was really interested in geotech. I thought like, okay, I'll just stick with this. This is what I'm gonna do. And so after I graduated, I stayed there for a little bit, but I was like, maybe I want to try something else. I just want to see the different things that I can go through and achieve and different branches, right? And so I went into looking at different jobs, let me see. And I saw the city of Salinas was looking for engineers, um, but part-time. So I started part-time working with them, and then it grew into, oh, now we have a full-time position. And then it grew into, oh, now you can go up. And then now that I've taken my FE exam, passed it, and now they're like, you go up again. So I think I like it working for the city just because I have that ability to keep growing.
Sounds like you have
growing.
good promotion potential.
Yes.
And for everyone not familiar, the FE exam is the Fundamentals of Engineering exam, which is the first step on your way to your professional engineer license. So Victoria mentioned she's writing a few reports and then she sort of passes them on. The person that signs off on the report is the professional engineer. So that's what she's working towards. Is that correct?
Yes, we hope for.
Yeah.
Of
And
course.
what kind of work are you doing at the City of Salinas if it's
So
geotech?
I'm not doing geotech anymore. Well, I kind of still talk to them about it because I do their pavement projects and sidewalk projects. So in a way, I still kind of have that geotech knowledge to help me,
Mhm.
but it's more AutoCAD based, construction management based, a lot of reports, council meetings,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So it is a drastic change, but I think I needed the to learn all the different things that I could do with my degree, which is great.
Yeah, and when you were in your academy at Watsonville High School and you learned about civil, which aspect of civil were you thinking you were going to go into at that time?
I at first thought structural,
Oh, okay. Okay.
because I liked looking at plans. I enjoyed looking at plans, and we did. It wasn't AutoCAD. It was a different drafting
Okay.
um program. I can't remember which one we used, but I enjoyed that aspect of it. And so I thought for a really long time I was going to do structural. And then I took the structural class and found out how hard it was. So I
So
knew that
then what was your major out of San Jose? It was civil engineering, but what was your specialty?
geotech.
Oh, it was geotech.
It was
Oh.
geotech be just because of my internship. I
Mhm.
thought that that's where I was going to stay. And so I was like,
Ah.
I might as well learn everything I can
Mhm.
about it.
Mhm.
And
But
now,
now you're more in construction management, which is fine. Geotech lends itself to that. And the AutoCAD that you're doing, is that something you learned at Cabrillo first?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. AutoCAD, I think, is very important class, especially if you want to find an internship. That's the number one thing that they look for. AutoCAD and that you know how to work Excel. Those are like,
Okay, so those two things. That's great to know. Can you tell us about some things that you were involved in at Cabrillo while you were there?
yeah. So when I started meeting people, I was in the WISE club, the Women in Science and Engineering club. And then from there, I attended some of the aerospace club. They still have it.
I'm not
Um,
sure. Yeah.
then we went to the aerospace club, and then when I was there, my last year, they brought back the Luces Club.
Mhm.
Yeah, we were the first ones to bring the Luces Club back. Um, which actually my uncle made the logo. I don't know if they're still using the same like sun logo,
Oh, I have to
but
look. Oh no. Okay.
yeah, he was the one that made it a while ago. And then engineering abroad.
Oh, you did engineering abroad as
Yeah.
well. Okay. What was your project?
We surveyed their land back in Costa Rica.
Hmm.
Yeah, we did a whole land survey for them because they wanted to put So their land, they have the drying racks for the coffee beans, and then the compost bins are all in like the first half, but then they had all this empty space going up the hill. So we surveyed the top of the hill for them, and now the other group made mixed concrete for them and made a whole slab for them up at the top of the hill. So now their compost bins are at the top of the hill, and now all their drying racks are at the bottom.
And that's the way they wanted it.
Yeah,
Okay.
they wanted them kind of separate out of
Separate.
the way of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day going up and down the hill.
Um, so that was, you really enjoyed that.
I think that was just a great experience overall. Um, Learning everything that you've learned in your class and now being able to do it hands-on
Mhm.
was a great experience, or it made me even how would I say, like understood it better after the fact of doing it myself rather than just learning it from a book or from a professor, doing it hands-on. At least I'm a hands-on learner myself, so I feel like that helped me a lot.
That's great. And
Mm.
how about at the City of Salinas? What's one of your favorite projects you've worked on there?
Um, I've only been there for a couple months. It hasn't even been a year yet.
Oh, wow.
But the I've mainly just done the sidewalk and pavement projects. We did like a whole reconstruction of I don't know if you guys are familiar with Salinas, but Alvarez High School, the street right next to Alvarez High School. They pulled it all out and then they put it back in. Um,
Oh,
that was one that I was there for in completion, like in since the start all the way to the end. But one that they're working on right now that I know of is the roundabout
mhm.
on Baranda in front of the elementary school. That's a really big one that's starting up. I think it started up a couple months ago. It's
Mhm.
gonna take a couple years.
Oh, wow. Are you going to work on that one too?
I'm just assisting the engineer on it, but I'm mainly focused on the pavement and sidewalk projects,
Okay,
just
cool.
maintenance around the city.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds really great. Um, I guess many students want to know what a day in your life might look like.
Um, right now it's a lot of in the office. Just because we're planning or in the works of the sidewalk and pavement projects. So it's a lot of AutoCAD. And since I'm not a PE, I have to take it to the PE review. Oh, they give me notes, I bring it back, do it, and then the process continues over and over.
Sure.
Um, so in this aspect, you're just in your desk, a lot of the days, but during the summer, you're out, you're checking on your project, you're making sure everything's going how you hoped or wanted to. Um, but yeah, during the summers, that's you're more out, you're more active out in the field. But um, right now, it's more at your desk.
And do you like, what do you like, what do you prefer, the desk or the field?
Um, I would say the field.
Hmm.
That's what I enjoyed more. That's why enjoyed geotech more because I was out a lot more.
Hmm.
But I also just really enjoy AutoCAD.
Okay.
So that's why I like it. It's more the paperwork that isn't my favorite.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, how has having an engineering degree impacted your life, you feel?
Um, I feel like it's introduced me to like a lot of different things I wouldn't necessarily think about. Just say because like geotech, before I even was in engineering, I would have never thought soil mattered that much in the building process.
Sure.
So I think it's brought me so much knowledge that I guess I never second guessed or I never looked through and never looked over. Or like the sidewalks. I just assume like, oh yeah, somebody fixes them. Don't know who, but somebody does. The streets have potholes. Why do they have potholes? What bring so I guess the I know so much more of like what goes into all these things that I see on a day to day.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Are there opportunities that you would not have experienced without this degree?
Um,
Like, I guess the other way of saying that, or has this degree produced opportunities that you wouldn't have imagined?
I yes, I would because I wouldn't have gone up as fast as I would without my degree.
Okay.
There is people who work in our department who don't necessarily have engineering degrees. They are just really good at AutoCAD. Um, but they're kind of stuck in this um position just because they can't get their FE or they like can't keep rising up into higher positions. So I guess that's the struggle. So having your degree just gives you the ability to go up. Um
So
at a
are they just graphic designers basically? So
Yeah, they one of them has an art degree
mhm.
and the other has just worked in construction forever and they have working sometimes does AutoCAD, sometimes just files, paperwork, stuff
Okay.
like that. But
So having this engineering degree kind of gives you a step up, a leg up, basically. And what other engineers do you work for in your office? Work with, sorry, in your office. So you're a civil. Do you work with other types of engineers?
traffic engineers, um,
Okay.
just because I work for the streets, they do a lot of like the striping, the signing, the traffic lights. We need to make sure all of that is done before the pavement project's done, so
Mhm.
that they could put bike paths, new sidewalk lighting, things like that. Mainly with traffic engineers,
Mhm.
but also just sometimes geotechnical. Just depends on the job. What our soils look like, if they're difficult or not. Salinas loves to have very fat, moldable clay.
Oh, really? Do you
I
live there now, or are you living still at home
I
in your hometown?
so when I was in high school, I lived in Salinas.
Oh,
And so now that I work in Salinas, I live in Watsonville.
oh, how funny.
I just love the commute going back and forth.
Okay. So you like having the best of both worlds in your life. That's very
Yes.
nice. Is there anything you would suggest to these students as they're starting out on this educational path that you've completed?
I would say take advantage of the clubs, the engineering abroad, take advantage of the programs and the things that you can do because these are really going to be the people that you end up working with in the future. So, so let's say you need a job later on and you know this person that you went to school with. Not necessarily means you're gonna get the job, but you do have a leg up in a sense, or you have more of
A
an ability.
network,
Yeah.
right? Is that what you're getting at? Your network building?
Yes, networking. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
because even with us, every like other month, I want to say we do like public works meetings with all the different cities around us, and everyone's just talking, and that's how people work from city to city to swap to county to there's a
Wow.
lot of people moving.
Oh,
Different.
all the time because you're meeting other people in other cities and then they tell you about opportunities and then you're like, oh, maybe I'll do that. See,
Yeah.
okay.
So networking for sure.
Networking, that's key. Great. Did you have anything else you wanted to share with us about your experience thus far?
Um, Gosh, there's so much.
And maybe I'll ask the students if they have questions that maybe they want to type into the chat, um, or they can unmute and, oh,
Oh, sorry, someone was calling
okay.
calling me
They
now.
can unmute and ask you a question if they have. Oh, Gavin would like to ask you a question. Go ahead, Gavin.
I have a specific question about the big engineering exam that you mentioned before. I can't remember the name of it, but
The FE exam.
exactly, yeah. Like, how nervous for that were you?
Um, I want to say when I first heard about it, I was very nervous because they're like, this is the test. This is the fundamentals of engineering, everything you've ever learned in this one test. So I think at first I was intimidated. It wasn't until other engineers were or fellow students were taking it that they're like, we're overreacting. It's not horrible as much as I was thinking. Obviously, like it's the way that you study, it's the way that you learn, that's gonna help you succeed with passing the test, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's extremely difficult because it's just different topics. So it's like you have to have all the topics in your head at all times, but it's only like two questions from one topic, two questions from the other topic. So it's not as difficult as I was imagining in my head.
And to follow up on that, did you feel that you were prepared by your classes at Cabrillo and San Jose State for the exam?
Yes, I feel like it was very helpful, but I personally just needed more studying. Like I just know myself and I just feel better. There was this app that another student told me about. And you just look up FE exam prep and it starts giving you random questions through different topics and you start doing them. So that was really helpful to kind of feel like I was in the test, but not necessarily in the test because it's a 6-hour exam. So I
Oh,
think also
wow.
sitting through it was intimidating as well.
Thank you. Julian has a question. Go ahead, Julian.
Hi, Victoria. I think it's great that that right after high school you were able to go to Cabrillo. And I had a question about like when you were taking classes at Cabrillo, what was the highest amount of units that you took in one semester?
I was working at the same time I was going to Cabrillo, so I was not overloading myself. Um I couldn't overload myself. I was working like two jobs at the time. I would do part-time here, part-time there. So I think was it 12? What's the minimum that you could take and still be full-time? Is it 12 or 15?
I think it's
Yeah,
12.
12. Yeah, I was taking 12 every semester. So I could still technically be full-time, but still not feel so overloaded working my job and taking my classes.
And how long were you at Cabrillo on that type of a schedule?
3 years?
3 years. Okay.
For
Right.
there for 3 years, yeah.
To complete your engineering pre-work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely could have stayed another semester because I know Cabrillo has a little bit more classes that I could have taken, but I wanted the transfer. I wanted the okay, now I'm transferring into a new place, a new everything.
Did
So
you join the same clubs at San Jose State or did you join different ones?
no, so at San Jose State, since I was living at home and then commuting to San Jose State, which is like an hour, 2 hour
Oh,
traffic drive, I didn't do the club. I wasn't a participant in the clubs, but I would sometimes go to the meetings just because I knew people that were in my classes,
mhm.
or like to the events that they had, but I wasn't a club member because I couldn't commit to the time just
Sure.
to the commute.
Alexander asked what you do in a land survey, and I'm assuming he hasn't taken the surveying class, but was that something that the surveying class at Cabrillo taught you? Can you talk about that? Because you mentioned it, that's what you did in your abroad.
Yeah, so this was completely different
Okay.
because we can't take our surveying materials here. If you've seen the little,
Yeah, the tripods and all of that. You couldn't take that with you.
yeah, so we did it was a ruler and a straight and string and then a compass. How did we do it? It was something crazy. Kelly, if Kelly still works there, she
It
was the one
does.
who showed
Yeah.
us. But yeah, with the compass, with the ruler. And if you don't know, I went with Kelly and Carl to engineering abroad, and they kind of just re-explained everything to us. But you'll learn it, the backside, foresight calculations, you'll learn that in the what class is it? Engineering,
Surveying.
then the engineering survey
Yeah.
class. Yeah.
It's like 12 or something, engineering.
Yeah.
But were you doing like elevations or is
Yeah.
that basically what you were doing?
Yeah, so with the rulers and the foresight backside equations, that's how we were doing elevations.
Yeah. So that's what they were doing in their land survey, is figuring out the elevation of the land at various points. Okay, cool. Any other questions before we let Victoria go enjoy her evening? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you so much for joining us, Victoria. It was so nice to meet you, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
For sure. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Bye, thank you.